Could not leave a number, but I know who placed the call. My uncle took the message and he wrote it on. Home is on the south side, high up on the ridge, just a half a mile from the Mississippi. Help me.
You know, John's gone crazy.
When did Paul McCartney write Yesterday? 1960. I'm not very good on dates. You can look it up.
I don't really remember anything about the Beatles days.
The Beatles broke up, you know, probably have to have a bloody session to remember it. So I don't remember, you know. It just all happened.
All right. When did Paul McCartney and Wings break up? 70s sometime? I'm too busy doing stuff to remember all the dates. Just ask a fan. They know the dates. And, you know, there are loads of people who actually know stuff.
It's no good asking me. I don't know.
I just couldn't ever get with it. When did Paul McCartney join the Beatles? I should know that. Help! Yeah, I mean, I was like a teenager, so I would be, I don't know, 16, 17 or something. So that would be like, I think the Beatles was when I was about 19.
I don't know what George, Paul and Ringo think. I know them pretty well, but I don't know anybody that well.
Did the Beatles and Elvis ever meet? Yeah. You know, he was the star. So we were so keen to meet him, and we went to this house, the four of us all together. And he came to the door, which is a matter of dispute, because we did this story once and Ringo said, no, he didn't. He was sitting on the couch. I say, no, he didn't. He came to the door. So my story, which I believe is the correct one, sorry, Ringo. Did the Beatles use a click track? No, because there were no such things as click tracks. And in actual fact, it was a good thing. So we didn't need a click track. Also, we didn't have one, even if we'd have needed one. Click. Did the Beatles wear wigs?
What was the other one? Oh, that you actually were all bald and that had no hair, and that you would, that was so you could go out in the street and not be recognized.
Truth.
Yes, and I'm wearing one of them now. I've had it coloured to be appropriate to my age. Boom, boom.
And then, was My Little Mystery Tour after Brian?
Is Paul McCartney happy? Oh. Is Paul McCartney a Liverpool fan? Okay, now that's a long story. No.
How do you feel about Ireland? Do you think of yourself as being Irish in any way?
No, not really. No, not really. No, not really. No, not really. No, not really.
I'm going to look at the last question. Unfortunately, you won't, at home, won't be able to see this last question. What? How dare you ask me that? When did Paul McCartney become Sir? I don't actually remember what year it was.
I don't really remember anything about the Beatles days.
You'll have to ask the other two.
When did your songwriting partnership with Paul end?
I don't know, around 1962 or something. I don't know. I mean, if you give me the albums, I can tell you exactly who wrote what, you know.
I made up this little song called I Lost My Little Girl. People asked me whether it was about losing my mother at that early age, which I don't know. But I had the melody to a song Yesterday in my brain, and I didn't have any words, so I called it Scrambled Eggs in my brain. Scrambled eggs, oh my baby, how I love you. Yesterday. When John Lennon and I were getting together, We were kind of showing each other what we'd written.
So you show me yours, hon, and I'll show you mine.
And this was one I said to him, well, I got this idea. My song started, she was just 17. She'd never been a beauty queen. And we kind of looked at each other like, I said, I don't really like that line. So we changed it to, she's just 17, you know what I mean. Which makes more sense, even though you probably don't know what I mean.
You've written 300 songs. Do you ever forget a lot of the songs that you've written and you hear them and you're like,
Yeah. I mean, 300 was just the ones I wrote with John. Since then, I've written lots more. And you do forget them, yeah. And that is my excuse.
Whose idea was to go to India?
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
A lot of people listening to you are going to take seriously what you're saying in the song. So I'm very proud of the fact that the Beatles' output is always really pretty positive. It's hopefully a good message.
Let it be.
That was another dream song, actually.
Yesterday is the most amazing story because it's the only song I dreamed.
I'd been overdoing it. You know, it was the 60s. A lot of people were getting high.
As he left the court, McCartney, who'd been given 2 weeks to pay the fine, said, "The judge is a great guy." The cannabis seeds had been planted at his farm about 4 miles from here. It was said that those seeds had been sent to you. How did you come to grow them?
Yeah, well, we got a load of seeds, you know, kind of in the post. We didn't know what they were, you know, we kind of planted them all, and 5 of them came up illegal.
Let's get together and feel all right.
So, after John died, there'd been a lot of talk about who did what and who liked who, and did the Beatles argue, and
See, I think Paul had a tendency to come along and say, well, he's written his 10 songs, let's record now. You know, and then he did worked it out with Mal, and then he came and showed me what his idea was, and this is how it went. It went around like this, the story, and he had it all, you know, I think, production, and he says, well, here's the segment, you write a little piece for that. And I thought, fucking hell, I've never made a film, what do you mean? You write a script? So, you know, I ran off and wrote the dream sequence for the fat woman and all the thing with the spaghetti and all that.
Who broke it up?
John.
George and I were sort of grumbling, you know, fucking movie, you know, well, we better do it, you know, a feeling that we owed the public or owed somebody other that we should do these things, you know.
Still, so to go back to Apple, sort of on the breakup of the Beatles. And Brian died, went to India.
I didn't really want to do all this, you know.
I was almost buying into this idea that me and John were sort of fighting all the time, but I just remembered it wasn't true.
When they break up, all right? And who knows who broke, you know, everyone has a theory.
I know.
Who broke it up?
John.
John did.
Yeah.
You cunts.
I don't think anyone tried to pin it on it. It just came out that way.
I think Paul had an impression, he has it now like a parent, that we should be thankful for what he did, you know. But he kept for keeping the Beatles going. But when you look upon it objectively, he kept it going for his own sake, you know. But not for my sake did he, Paul struggle. But Paul made an attempt to carry on as if Brian hadn't died, you know, by saying, now, boys, we're going to make a record. You know, and being the kind of person I am, I thought, well, you know, we're going to make a record, all right. So I went along, we went and made a record.
John did.
Yeah. There was a meeting where John came in and said, hey, guys.
Was with Yoko.
He'd found Yoko, and John loved strong women.
All I want is the truth now.
All I want is a sort of a guy who's want a pipe and slippers.
Right.
Come
Stay
home and
yeah.
do that. And I thought, whoa, that's not John.
I'm sick to death of hearing things from uptight, short-sighted, narrow-minded
So John had met up with Yoko, and even though we thought, oh God, a bit intrusive. We'd never had anything like that.
It says on the album that Yoko does win.
Well, she played wind, you know. I mean, she played the atmosphere. She has a musical ear. You know, I mean, we all say a lot of things that we don't know what we're talking about. I'm probably doing it now. I don't know what I said, you know. See, everybody takes you up on the words you said in 94. I'm just a guy who people ask what about things. I blab off, and some of it makes sense, some of it's bullshit, and some of it's lies, and some of it's God knows what I'm saying, you know.
Yes!
But now it can be told, fab listeners.
Anyway, peace and love.